So guys, under here lies the brand new AMG E53, and I'm going to show you it straight away. Check out how aggressive this thing looks. That is one stunning looking AMG. Now, as we predicted on RBR, this car is powered by a 6-cylinder engine. Don't worry guys, no 4 cylinders in sight, just like we found in the E53, but much more powerful here. Between 585 brake horsepower and 612 if you get a special pack, and I will explain more about that later. How has that happened? Because this is a hybrid powered 6-cylinder. So we've got an electric motor and a battery. We will explain more about that in a minute, and I will also show you this wonderful car. Yes, we also have the wagon here today, which is great, finished in this lovely grey colour, and this is a standard car without that special package. First, let's talk about the design on our saloon, because it really is stunning. And there's so much that's been taken from the formula of how AMG used to design the E63 within this. Why has that happened? I'll go more into it. First, let's just appreciate how much has changed. And obviously, you've got a unique AMG front end. What's nice is, like the E63 in the past, the wings on both sides, not just the front, are different. They're actually wider by about 11 millimeters on each side to give you some nice flared arches that you can particularly see from kind of dead on of the front of the car. So it gives it that nice AMG wide stance, because this is a wider track than the standard E-Class. And also this lovely trim detail on the side here, like we found in the C63 new car, but of course looking better on a 6-cylinder, isn't it? What's nice is that this is finished in a dark chrome as well. This has got all the night packages that you could possibly have on this particular car. Then of course, our front end. Now in typical AMG fashion, looking nice and wide, thanks to the flared arches, we've got a completely unique lower A-wing with much bigger air intakes and a lot more details of the gloss black, etc., than the standard AMG line E-Class. They still retain the large chrome surround grille around the AMG specific grille, and the light comes as standard on the AMG version as well. We weren't sure, would they get rid of this element, but they haven't, they've kept it in. And actually, I think it looks pretty good. I've lived with the E300 recently, and the grille in this front end has really grown on me. This one, again, because it's got all the night packages and stuff, all of this is de-chromed completely. So it's quite a stealthy look on the whole grille, isn't it? And even better than that, check that out. For the first time ever, they've, de-chromed the AMG crest as well, which is really nice. So the front end, nice and aggressive. You've still got the power domes in here on the bonnet, which comes standard on your E-Class anyway. So that front end, really nice. The side, again, really aggressive, isn't it? AMG large side sills hiding behind me here. You've got, of course, the wing you appreciate more from this side. The Magno white really helps you see the shape, actually. I'm glad they chose that as a color. The huge 21-inch wheels, which are the largest that you can get. And hiding underneath the wheels are the larger brakes that you get inside this Dynamic Plus pack that we'll talk about later with the red calipers. But really, it looks like an E63 kind of from this angle, doesn't it? Thanks to what they've done on the front end. They haven't skimped out at all. Now, one thing that Mercedes have been wanting to do for years, and they've struggled with, is to get the door handles to finally be de-chromed. And look, we finally got it. First car ever, night packaged door handles, finally. I think it's actually the thing that they're most proud of on the entire car, and I agree. The other thing, of course, because this is a hybrid, we have our charging port here. We'll talk more about charging and range, which is actually significant in this car. And then the rear. AMG's rear need to be nice and muscular. Sadly, you have not got wide arches on this. That's probably asking too much, because we've never had it on an E-Class, but it's as aggressive as you'd have an E63 in the past, which basically means you've got a unique AMG diffuser, you've got the round quad pipes. What is nice, however, you have the de-chromed strip here above our light bar, which really suits it well. You've got the aggressive AMG spoiler. And another nice little detail here is that the E53 logo actually has the red detail around it, like all the other E-Performance cars. So all of that, particularly when you look at that 3/4 rear view, it looks like a nice and strong AMG. I like it. Then, of course, final bit is the interior, which of course is the wonderful new interior from the E-Class, which has of course been AMG-ified, which means loads of carbon, like in that lovely center console there. And more important than that, our AMG specific steering wheel with the drive select and the mode select there. And then the brand new bucket seats out of our latest AMGs, which look really, really nice. We'll talk more about that later. So guys, design is a really good start. There's also tons that's been done under the skin in order to get the power all the way up to 585 or 612, depending on that pack that you can option. I'll show you all of that today. We'll also take a look at the inside. I really want to show you the wagon, which is a stunning little daily AMG potentially. So let's check out this brand new AMG E53 together. What are you doing? What are you filming? Lord Rehan. My friends, you will now refer to me, instead of Mr. AMG, as Lord AMG. No, I'm just kidding. But I am a Lord of the Glen now, thanks to our sponsor today, who is Highland Titles. And beyond this little certificate, which is fun, Highland Titles is a family-owned business that is looking to restore degraded farmland in Scotland, and it's doing it by offering these amazing gifts to people like you and me, where you can own a piece of land up in the beautiful Highlands that you can actually visit yourself for as little as $30. And it's a piece of land. So firstly, it is everlasting. It's always going to be there and it's always yours. The plots are located in the Kilnash estate in Argyll. And while you can't go and build a house on it, what they do for you, for example, is you can plant a tree there. You can also go there and visit and get a tour of the lands there, which are absolutely stunning. These souvenir gifts not only help restore that area, but they also help protect the endangered species in that area as well. And this is really the main mission of Highland Titles, to preserve the ecological balance in this beautiful part of Scotland. There's a really cool gift in isolation, or if you're a couple or a work couple like me and Mr. RBR over here, then you can also get a couple of plots of land together. And there you go, you can joke around about being lords, which is quite fun. So guys, visit highlandtitles.com and use the code RACE25 and you'll get a straight 25% off. It's a great gift, you're helping the environment. Again, that's the code RACE25 at highlandtitles.com. A huge thanks to them for supporting the channel and to you guys for supporting our regular sponsors. Now, back to the episode. So guys, as to the question of why AMG seems to have gone absolutely balls out when it comes to the design of this thing, is where you'd normally think this is just an entry-level AMG that would just slap a grille on an AMG line car and be done with it. This one's got the wide arches, it's got everything going for it that an E63 would, probably because there might not be an E63. There doesn't seem to be any insider talk, there doesn't seem to be any spy shots, any mules, etc. This may well just be your E-Class AMG. Plus, you look at something like the E53, AMG are not holding back on their entry-level cars regardless anymore, whether a 63 is coming or not. What is the fate of the E63? I'll discuss that later in the video. Today's not about that. It's about this E53 hybrid and how have they gotten that six-cylinder that's only getting 450 brake in the CLE up to 585 or 612 in this E53. Now, of course, we do begin with the same basis, which is the lovely six-cylinder engine, which is an updated version of the M256 engine, now named, I think, M256M. We've got more horsepower, up to 450 brake horsepower just by itself. We've got 560 Newton meters as well. So it's a pretty powerful combustion engine by itself. It's been heavily updated with a larger turbocharger, which is a single twin scroll turbocharger, optimized injection, and other bits and pieces, all done to make it that much more powerful. We've got better air cooling thanks to the larger grille, etc. But that's not where the story ends. That's just the combustion side. This is, of course, a hybrid. So we have a battery that sits in the back, 28 kilowatt size, but 21 kilowatt of actual usable. And that is then paired to a permanently synchronous electric motor in a P2 hybrid system format that basically sits in between our engine and our transmission. This gives the further horsepower needed to get all the way up to 585 brake horsepower, or if you get something called the AMG Dynamics Plus package, as we've seen in the past, that will go up to 612 on race start. So that's the same amount of horsepower as we had in the previous E63. The other benefit of the battery is that you will get up to 100 kilometers of electric only range, which is going to make this a really good daily. And the downside of that P2 hybrid system is that the car weighs around about 2.3 tons, which I'm sure you guys could have guessed. What is still impressive though is that that 0 to 60 time still sits at 3.8 seconds despite that with the Dynamics Plus package. Now of course all of that means we do have 4MATIC Plus, so this is an all-wheel drive car and a fully variable system, so you can have 100% power to the front or to the rear. However, no drift mode, which is kind of strange considering this might be the only AMG you have and it's just software, but that does not exist in here. In addition to that, we've got the 9-speed torque converter gearbox, which AMG says, although it's a torque converter, has instant shifts. Who knows, we will have to drive it to actually see. Then we come to the stiffening element. The first one you can see immediately within our engine bay, and it's the strut that goes between our two front spring towers right here. We've also got something called a thrust pad under our front engine that helps with steering by reducing front end torsion. And then we've got braces attached to that thrust pad. We've got braces attached to our rear as well. We've got a even stiffer rear frame, which has been modified in this. We've got cross braces on the front and the rear, which are lightweight. So lots done again versus the standard E-Class to make this even stiffer. In addition to that, one cool thing about the braking system is that it has the ability to either use the hydraulic brake or to recoup energy for the battery, which is so important for a hybrid, up to 120 kilowatts, which is damn good. So a very intelligent braking system in there. Then obviously we have AMG's ride control steel-based suspension, which is so important, and this one is very clever. We've got 2-valve damping at each wheel for rebound and compression to make the car either super comfortable or super sporty. They've really gone for an aggressive spring and damper setup to make this more sporty. Of course, our wider front track is going to help, as is our stiffer rear frame. And finally, you do have 2.5-degree rear wheel steer. Speaking of steering, we've got AMG speed sensitive steering in there as well, meaning that this should be quite dynamic. But again, we can't really judge that till we drive the car. Now, this AMG Dynamics Plus package is quite important because there's a number of hardware elements. One we've mentioned already, which were the larger brakes. Inside the car, you get the dynamic steering wheel, you get the race start function, which brings that horsepower up to 612 brake horsepower. But more important than those are the active engine mounts that you get in the engine. This is the stuff that the S model 63s brought in, the AMG GT brought in order to manage the weight of the engine and make the car more dynamic. So a really important option. And then finally, you get the electronic diff as opposed to the fully open diff in the standard car. So a lot of bang for buck in the Dynamics package that elevate this E53 to a level perhaps where the 63s were. Now, while you might in your mind want to compare it directly to the E63, let's take a step back and compare it to what the E53 was. That was a 429 brake horsepower car. This is all the way up to 585. Just that by itself is an impressive upgrade on the 53 series. And I think the other thing that's a really impressive upgrade is how much more aggressive this looks versus the standard E-Class. It really does add that proper AMG muscle. And in fact, even when you compare it to the E63 of the last generation, I think in a lot of angles, it looks as much, if not more, aggressive than that car. So a really good job in that regard. The issue comes when you talk about rivals. At the moment at BMW, who are their main rival, you do have the M60, which is of course an EV. So in my opinion, as a traditional petrol head, I'm going to prefer the E-Class. However, there is an M5 coming, allegedly, with a V8 engine. Where does this car sit then, and where is our E63? I don't think an E63 is coming in this generation. Well, I'm going to make a prediction to you today. I think, in my opinion, and I have nothing to back this up, I think the V8 will come back in the E-Class one day. I think it just simply has to. And my reason for that is, when AMG made the final edition E63, they never said it was the final V8. And I think they did that because maybe there's a sliver of hope somewhere that that V8 might return. Until then, we have this car, and I'm excited to drive it. I do want to show you the estate, and I do want to show you a little bit of the interior. So guys, we all love a good fast wagon, right? And this one looks really nice. This is the completely standard car. So we've got the 20-inch wheels. It does go down to 19, but no one's ever going to order that. 20-inch wheels. The shape of the E estate is just gorgeous. And now you see what the car looks like without the D-chrome elements. So you still have the chrome bits, which I don't think look bad actually. They accentuate some parts of the E really nicely, like the exhaust look better. The lower diffuser looks really nice. I think even the E53 badge looks quite nice with the chrome and the red. And then you see more of that slopey roof line thanks to the chrome window treatment. It looks nice. Heck, even our side sills look pretty good. The front looks just as aggressive as our saloon, nice and wide with the flared arches, but then I think because of that roof line of the estate, potentially looks even better. I would love to see the estate with that full AMG Dynamics Plus package. I think that could be like perfect. But you guys know I'm so biased when it comes to estates and wagons. Now, that's one part. I want to show you the interior of both of these because one has the totally standard interior and one has the full super screen, but I actually prefer the standard one for a reason, and I'm going to show you that in a sec. Hello, chrome handles, we like you. And here is the interior, which is gorgeous, as I showed you already. Love the AMG bucket seats, really nicely done, and I love this two-tone interior. Really highlights some of the best bits of the car. Now, jumping in the E53, like I said, you get the usual massive bit of carbon fibre. Sadly, this is the only piece that I could find. Normally on E63, you'd have like a large trim piece across your front dash, maybe something on the doors, but there's no real space for it in this design of E-Class generation. But apart from that, the E-Class interior is the one, even in the totally standard car, that when I jump in it, it's the one Mercedes that really says, I'm still a really high quality, well put together interior. And I think that's even more true of the standard one that's in the estate over there. And I'll show you that in a second. This one is still gorgeous. And the nice thing about the ambient lighting is you can really change the ambience of the car, particularly in an AMG. It almost feels to me like the piping that you would have in an interior. Like at the moment we've got red stitching and red piping. You could change that to yellow and then suddenly you've got, you know, a yellow trimmed AMG interior, or maybe you want green. You know, that element is quite cool. I like that. I like the fact that things are highlighted subtly enough and you can change them for like big effect. Of course, the panoramic roof, nice and big, lets lots of light in. Now, if we tap the car on, of course, we have our AMG dials on the steering wheel here. Because this is the Dynamic Plus package, you get the microfiber steering wheel. You can see electric mode here with our 100 kilometers of range. Like I said, hybrids even more relevant now than they were before. So we will be relying on electric mode a lot more than perhaps we thought. And this car goes all the way up to Sport, which has the race start in this version of the car. Of course, with these, you can change them however you want, and they can show pretty much anything you like on these screens, and it's all configurable on our AMG displays over here. So you can literally go into settings and choose the ones that you want from a massive list and tailor the steering wheel controls to whatever you want. What's nice is you still have AMG track pace, which is for all your drag racing, track racing, etc. And you do have the AMG performance screens as well to give out all of your data, etc. And our favorite, IWC. And I've actually got the matching watch with me. It's the AMG edition. I love that animation. More important than that are our AMG specific displays where you get Super Sport, you get track pace as well, and they correspond nicely with heads-up display versions of the exact same thing. And you get the standard ones like you do in the E-Class, such as Sport, and then Classic as well. So it's the E-Class, but pumped up to AMG style, as you would expect. But this is the one with the super screen, which means you have the large screen in the middle and you have the passenger screen that I do not really find to be that useful in reality. And I've lived with it, and I think it's just an extra that you don't need. There is a much better version of this that's in that estate, and I want to show you it right now. Now we're going to head into my favorite, which is the wagon, which has also got my favorite Mercedes interior, which is the tan with black. And these are the standard seats, so not the AMG Performance buckets, which look just as nice. You still got the crest there, got the AMG Stitch logo, lovely. But more important than any of that, there's a nice little surprise on this side. This is your standard screen that you get in E-Class, but look at this awesome lighted AMG wood piece. I don't know if you guys can see it there, but those are the AMG chevrons hiding in there, and they match the color of the ambient lighting that you have in the car. So if I change the ambient light to, for example, green, it's very subtle, but you can see that that changes depending on what color you have there. And that's such a cool thing. And I just think, because the passenger screen is just not useful at all, that element, it looks so much better. And I just prefer, I think that'll age better as well, which is really important for cars like this. So guys, that is your first look at AMG's E53, up to 612 brake horsepower. Super impressive. It should be a really good daily with particularly those electric miles, as I think hybrids are going to become hugely relevant in the next few years. But the proof of the pudding will be in the driving, which I can't wait to do. If you have enjoyed this episode of RBR, please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.